So Grand Prix finished, that's all over, lots of exciting things to talk about. And then a common question we get asked is about the bikes, what happens to them next. So we're going to talk about the Grand Prix, how it all panned out, how it was for us, and what happens to the Fireblades next week. Let's go. So yeah, Grand Prix finished, and it was a great finish with the senior. Joey Eardsley finally putting those demons to bed that he suffered from the junior race. Amazing performance by him. Marcus pushed him really close. And I want to give a shout to Dave Rigby as well, because he retired right next to me at Douglas Road Corner on the second lap in 5th place. He was having a great run as well, and he could possibly maybe got on the podium, which would have been ace. But yeah, it was great. And in terms of our duties for race week, I want to have a shout out to everyone who was racing, because there were difficult conditions, and it's a bit of a distant memory now because everyone has short memories. The weather was a bit crap, wasn't it? Let's be honest. And we got delays, and it was wet, and we did inspections, and it wasn't deemed safe, and it wasn't deemed ready, and we had more delays, and eventually we got going, but the conditions weren't perfect, and everyone knows that. But as we said in the TT videos, the conditions were so good at the TT that it really contributes to not many incidents. And when you've got a combination of the Grand Prix, lack of track time, iffy conditions, less experienced riders, way more newcomers, and there was still hardly any incidents. So it's a shout out to the riders for dealing with the conditions well, riding fast, but riding safe. Obviously we had some of those incidents in practice week. They were what they were, but racing, people push harder. It's just that's just what happens with racing. People try harder. And coming to the end of the senior, we hadn't had any incidents of the whole senior race, and I'm thinking I might get away with it, but inevitably the last lap's when things happen. But there was just the one. Sam Mosley was off up at the 33rd. I haven't had an update on how he is. I think maybe some leg injuries, but nothing critical. And that was the only incident for the senior. We don't have any in the junior. We had none in the lightweight. There was, for the races, that was the only major incident. There may have been the odd slip off at Governors or Quarterbridge, because we don't even hear about those because we don't go to them. But in terms of an incident we had to attend to in race week, there was one for the whole of race week, and that's a testament to the riders, and well done to them. But yeah, in terms of the performances, so many people I spoke to around wanted Joe to win it. I didn't know if I wanted Joe or Marcus. How do you pick between the two? Unless you've got an actual personal, close relationship with one of them, how do you pick between the two? I don't know. So it was just great to see two local lads going at it and going fast, and they're stars of the future. And like I said previously, they're going to be the next generation of TT riders who go on and do that. And then next year there'll be more newcomers at the Manx, and somebody new, exciting again coming through, and it's great seeing this new talent. I love that. It's one of my favourite parts of this whole thing is watching that new talent come through, and then see it go on to TT, and yeah, brilliant, love it. So the bikes, everyone's asking us this week, what happens to the bikes next week? So we've got a few things to take off. If you watched our video at the start of the year about how we get the bikes ready for the TT, there's a few things to take off them now. So the bags and the plates will come off, and we'll keep those. As far as I'm aware, Honda aren't bringing out a new model, so a completely different rear subframe. So the mounting system for next year should be exactly the same as this year, because technically the bike will be the same. So we'll keep those, and they should be on next year. Obviously the plate comes off the back, and then all the electronics that we put on in terms of the trekking system, the camera, the smart marshal system, the bigger screen, all that. Andy Grimshaw, who does all that work for us on behalf of Honda. So we'll take the bag and stuff off, and we'll keep that here, and then run the bike down to Andy probably tomorrow, and he'll get all the electronics off and store them for next year. But the bikes will go back to Honda. So last year was different to every other year that I've been involved, in that when we sent the bikes back to Honda, they went into storage. And normally, obviously, the bikes turn up, and there was 10 last year, including Milky's and Johnny's, 9 this year. So they'll go back. They go off the boat. I'm not exactly sure where they go, but as far as I'm aware, what happened is they sort of went into a temporary storage. And then when they got the shout that we need the TM bikes for this year, they just brought them back out. They didn't do anything with them. But what they normally do is, it used to be at Blackpool Honda, and they put them up for sale around September, October time. Obviously they'll go back. Any work needs doing, service work, tyres, whatever it needs replacing, brake pads, things like that. Consumables will be done, and they'll be prepped and ready, and they'll be for sale, and anyone can buy them. They're ready to go. So I imagine that's what's going to happen. I don't even know if Blackpool Honda exists now. Is it Northwest Honda? I'm not sure. So it's normally up there somewhere. So keep your eye out for those. Yeah, but this actual bike, I've had 2 years running now. So when they sent them back and the boys were talking about which ones they were doing, I just take mine from last year. I've had it since it did me. I think it had like 100 miles on it. And interestingly enough, on the back wheel, it had Honda Racing rim tape and a little Davey Todd sticker. So I think the bike had maybe been on a pre-season test. So like a completely standard road bike. Maybe Davey Todd was doing some testing in Spain. Have more on that before we get your super stock, super bike ready to do some proper testing for the team. So that was a bit interesting with that. But yeah, I've had this 2 years now, and like I say, I've put the best part of 3,000 miles on it. Majority of them are just on closed laps of the TT course, which is ace. And yeah, there's a little bit more sentimental attachment to it because I've had it for 2 years running, and it sort of went away for the winter and then came back to me again for the summer. So I mean, I'm not going to shed a tear over anything, but yeah, it's been ace. They're so good. I mean, I feel like I'm just repeating myself from other videos if you haven't seen them, but they're so good. And that leads me on to that lap that Michael did. And as impressive as it is, it's also really annoying because it just shows you how I mean, it's not annoying, but how good is he? You know, he's absolutely spectacular. And okay, he got beaten at some races in the TT, but I don't think anybody else could have just jumped on that bike and taken it to the level he took it on last week than him, because other riders want to get a better setting or a different tyre, or you know, I'll need a couple of laps to get used to it. Michael's just like, yeah, give me it, I'll go, bang, he's off. So 1:27, whatever he did, and I was out doing something at the time, a film collection or something like that, and so I didn't hear what was going on. And it was only after I got back to race 2 position. So did you see how quick Michael went on that Fireblade? I was like, what, on that parade lap? Like, yeah, but he had a big gap. He wasn't parading it. He was thrashing it around. I was like, all right, go on. And how quick did he go? And like 1:27. I'm like, no, can't have done a 1:27. But you look at it 2 ways. He's doing 1:26 on that old S-Rad, and it's got nowhere near as much power. The chassis is nowhere near as good. The brakes won't be, you know, so when you think, oh, he's doing 1:26 on a 25-year-old S-Rad, it's not inconceivable to do 1:27 on a brand new Fireblade. All right, it's a road bike, but it's Öhlins, it's Brembo's, you know, it's got traction control, like, well, not like he needs it, but you know, it's what an expensive, tricked up race bike was 5, 6, 7 years ago. You know, all the best bits on it, they just come on it standard now. So it's an amazing piece of kit straight out of the box. So yeah, 1:26 on an S-Rad, 25 years old, 1:27 on a brand new Fireblade. It's quite, you know, understandable, isn't it? And I tell you what, if you put a set of slicks on it, Michael will do a 1:30, like that, bang. And we had a chat with him on Monday. We had a beer after the senior, and he came over and had a talk to us about it. And obviously he rides a Fireblade week in, week out, but he said this one is different because he's, as much as his Superstock bike's a Superstock bike, it's running kit electronics and things, so he's not used to the things you change on the dash. So he just didn't change anything, just ran it standard. And yeah, he said the biggest difference, like we thought, was the tyres. We've talked about these tyres, these Metzlers, they heat up quick, and that's great for us because most of the time, 90% of the time, we're doing 5-6 mile bursts, and you want the tyres to get hot and stay hot. But they do overheat if you keep running them at that, because they're just not made for the job. And Michael said he couldn't believe how much grip it had, like through into Braddon Bridge. He's like, oh, these are really good. By the time he got to Ballagary, he said it was like he was on wets, because you've got that tyre with quite a cut in it, and it feels like it's moving around a little bit, because they're just starting to overheat, and the flex and then the rubber. But still did a 1:27. It's yeah. It's not unbelievable, but it's equally, it's really, really impressive. And yeah, fair play to him. Made us feel like we just don't know what we're doing. But yeah, that's why he's Michael Dunlop and we're not, basically. Let's just leave it at that. So something else that's coming out, if you watch the official TT podcast with Pritchard and Plater, and they have different people come on, and it's mainly racers, but sometimes you'll get some people like Gary Thompson's been on it, some of the medical staff I think have been on it. Gareth Davies was on talking about how the whole thing's run medically. Well, Johnny Hegg, Trevor Marsh number 7, he did a recording with them over Grand Prix race week, and they do about like 3 a day, so they store them up then through the winter and release them. So I don't know when it's coming out, but he did it. It was him and Lee Johnston did it with Pritch. So Johnny said it's absolutely hilarious what they talked about. How much of it they'll actually be able to cut in and leave in, I don't know. But he says what they had was really, really good. So as soon as that becomes available, I'll let everyone know. If you don't see it yourselves, then I'll just send a link out for that. But that should be really, really good. Johnny's hilarious, and the banter he said between the three of them was really good. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing that. It should be a really, really good one. An update on the helmets. I mean, we just run our TT helmets. So if you've seen I'll put it still up now, the Manx Grand Prix edition that they did for this year for the 100th anniversary. And people are asking us, how come we didn't get the Manx Grand Prix lids? Well, it's not an official RI edition. So Crossons, who are like an RI dealer, official RI dealer, they've done the design themselves. And so they've taken the helmets, had them done in this limited edition, and they're selling them themselves independently. It's nothing to do with RI Europe or RI Japan. So Crossons were never going to give us the helmets, you wouldn't expect them to. But we kind of still wanted them. So we went and spoke to the guys on Monday after the senior, hoping they had like a couple hundred left, and said, any chance of a deal on 7? We had 4 left. So, and 2 extra smalls and 2 smalls, and none of us have got small or heads. So that's that. So they've been really, really popular, which is great for them. Shame for us because we don't get to get one. But he said if you want to get one, they might be on eBay next week for 1,500 quid from somebody who's bought a handful. So I don't know, we'll see about that. But yeah, it's a little bit childish. But now I can't get one. It makes me really want one. But I'm not paying 1,500 quid for one. But yeah, that would have been so. Just a little update on the helmets thing. And I spoke about TT. We spoke to the guys from RI. One of the head guys from Europe came over, and he was speaking about next year. I can't remember now exactly, but is it their 50th or 60th anniversary? RI is an official partner with the TT, so they're doing a special edition next year. So that'll be exciting to see. But yeah, next year there's nothing really new to report. As far as I'm aware, the bike contracts just run on a 12-month basis. So the most likely thing in the world is it'll be Honda again, and they'll send us Fireblades again, and I'm absolutely fine with that. These are absolutely amazing machines, and yeah, we'll just it's just another opportunity now for me, on behalf of all the other lads, to thank Honda for the bike they send us, for letting us have them, for RI, for the helmets, for RST, for all the gear, Metzler now coming on board, just everybody who helps out, but also everybody who's been watching the videos, all the comments, the questions, everyone who's subscribed and got involved in it. And it's, you make your videos and you kind of forget about them, you put them out there and people like them. It feels like there's people who watch stuff on the internet, and then there's people who watch it in real life. But then people in real life come up to you and say, I saw your video about this, and what did you do about that? And they ask you about it, and you're like, oh yeah, I forget that real people watch them. It's a bit of a funny thing, isn't it? The whole internet thing. So yeah, just thanks to everyone who's been involved, and we'll try and make more. We've got some other stuff, we've got some other ideas of things we can do, and it takes a bit of time, and there's no financial reward for any of it. It's literally just a case of, if people want to ask us and find out things about what we're doing, then we're happy to do it. So it's just nice to give that exposure and get the things out there. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. Don't want to harp on too long about it, but yeah, I'm going to get the stuff taken off the bike now, run it down to Andy's tomorrow, and it feels a bit like that's it. It's like you put the Christmas tree away and you go back to work and it's all a bit depressing. That's what it's like now, because the weather will turn, it'll go to winter, and then but as soon as Christmas is out of the way, my brother used to always say it, Christmas Day would come and he'd be like, that's it then, it's halfway to next TT, and that's the only way to look at it. That comes around fast, and then the planning starts. It starts soon. There'll be winter courses for us to go on, things to do with medical and technical official stuff, and Next thing, it's spring, and then it's countdown to bikes arriving, and then it all starts again. So yeah, roll on TT24, and hopefully not too long till we see another one. Thanks again. Cheers.